Now, what this right here is a pollen trap. This is how we take the excess pollen that the bees don't need and we trap it down here in this drawer. Now, obviously the drawer component, we have a cardboard box that folds in and fits inside of it, inside this drawer. So you can see, clean that out. It's just an empty drawer, basically. Then you put a mesh and a cardboard box that fits right on the edge to make the pollen trap. Now the mesh, we make sure it's clean and isn't full of moldy pollen, and that catches all the pollen that actually falls through when the bees walk through here, right? So these holes are just small enough for the bees to get through and as well scrape the excess pollen off their legs. So it doesn't scrape all the pollen off their legs, it just scrapes the excess and extra bits of pollen off their legs. Because a dilemma that we have in the hives is when the hive gets blocked up with pollen and the queen can't lay anymore. And then she thinks the whole hive doesn't have space, so then they swarm and it doesn't go too well for us. When we put this contraption, when we're cleaning it out or trying to clean it, we put it, as you can see, just here, there is a metal plate. There's just a metal plate right in here, in between. When we put this pollen scraper, we put it on top of that metal piece. The reason being is for when actually you activate the pollen trap to start scraping the pollen off the legs of the bees. Right. Now, the pollen trap, as you can see, is on the top, and then there's an entrance. There's actually two entrances here. So there's this one, this is kind of like the stopper of both entrances. So when you flip it, bees only have one place to go, and it's through the top entrance. When the bees are going through the top entrance, that means the pollen trap is not activated, and the bees just go in and out from there, and they don't go through the pollen scraper, so we don't collect pollen. When we see there's a lot of pollen coming in, especially during springtime or during red gum season, you flip it around, and now the new entrance, can't bend that down, but bees go in through down there, come through this piece here, and scrapes the pollen down into the drawer. And then it also gets kind of filtered through the other piece. So all, like, let's say dead bees, like a bee's died, it will rest on top of that. Still, it will get a little bit dirty, but majority of it is clean itself, but then obviously it has to go through a whole other cleaning process. So this is how we actually collect pollen and what a pollen trap is. What a pollen trap is just a contraption to force bees through these metal holes, so it scrapes just a bit of pollen off their legs, so that their hive doesn't get fully clogged with pollen in the frames, and the bees don't really know where to go with it when the queen's supposed to be breeding and making honey.